Abusuafo na nsane na Europe nso Otumfuor osei tutu ababi otosumienu nyankra di firi Barbados oman no eho aninti wati ne na chi kakra ya wokọ honom na makodi dwumaso ewo honom na eno Buba Trade and Investment Conference na Yura Eko ene wo akoto kese na ayonkofa ye da Ghana ene Caribbean entem no wo tumi akoyire mu pampe na no ada and adwumadi no ankasa pompon so koso ewo University of West Indies Cave Hill campus ya ewo Barbados eho ena omoma kwan se Yura enkasa eno ena yede ho amanebo ebremo Yura ekire sede ayonkofa eda Barbados ene Ghana entem no ya wo kire se eno ne beboa mani enkabom ya yehwehwe nyina no ebetumi agina na sebetetinsem ene enema ekokọ osunu nyina ye ato nchen na yahwe niema miensa se ye kan ye ho abom yesiesie ye man na yasan asakra kwan ye faso ebo yembremu bra Yura ekasa ewo dwumadi no ase no moma yenti
Please sit down.
Saji fogu nyagwasio prasantinadwe kasangen.
Saji fogu nyagwasio prasantinadwe kasangen.
Kotokwa ine kase probia ile kasangen.
Kotokwa ine kase probia ile kasangen.
Mema probia ile fia ngoma kotokungen.
Mema probia ile fia kotokungen.
Asante chantrochmo champon fringen.
Asante chantrochmo champon fringen.
Asante sesebo sumandite.
Asante sesebo sumandite.
Probia santinadwe kasangen.
Probia santinadwe kasangen.
Seti chebe modi nywa visio.
Seti chebe modi nywa visio.
Why ne benya sejuso sipeni ya kwa bakuma tika pobano.
Why ne benya sejuso sipeni ya kwa bakuma tika pobano.
Binya se bianco baby.
Oh binya se bianco baby.
Amana te di feba dem le fie kasangen.
Amana te di feba dem le fie kasangen.
Se wane tofi moje nungen.
Se wane tofi moje nungen.
Odo froda diochmo champon fringen.
Odo froda diochmo champon fringen.
Oh so ni glorious medite.
Oh so ni glorious medite.
Ya kwa jale na dia sia dingen.
Ja kwa jale na dia sia dingen.
Akusi bi ogun blochmo champon fringen.
Akusi bi ogun blochmo champon fringen.
Ja kwa free se frampo dem ni favisi.
Ja kwa free se frampo dem ni favisi.
Se tu tue mi mo di nwa visio.
Se tu tue mi mo di nwa visio.
Why ne benya se kanti chire bo ache dan kwa ne se wan pim sika poba no.
Why ne benya se kanti chire bo ache dan kwa ne se wan pim sika poba no.
Obinya se bianco baby.
Oh binya se bianco baby.
Lagba bakana ne frampo dem ni favisi.
Lagba bakana ne frampo no dem ni favisi.
Me ma jabe do la ko ya dungen.
Me ma jabe do la ko ya dungen.
Ya dom na ni adia ko bo jo ta touchmo champon fungen.
Ya dom na la ko ta touchmo champon fungen.
O to sika sama na jija kungen.
O to sika sama na jija kungen.
Ja ko bo ba ko nyom flower.
Ja ko bo ba ko nyom flower.
Ina fro frampo dem ni fa o.
Ina fro frampo no dem ni fa o.
Se tu mi mo di nwa visio.
Se tu mi mo di nwa visio.
Wa saji fogu nyagwa singen.
Oh saji fogu nyagwa singen.
O prasantinadwe kasangen.
O prasantinadwe kasangen.
Wo bru ele to braba dem le fa gunya bo sa dunya chemebra.
The Honorable Prime Minister of Grenada, my son, I'm yet to visit you, but I will come. The Chancellor and my course mates, 208 graduates, I still remember you. And when I saw you, I said, okay, well, we'll graduate together, thanks to the Vice Chancellor. My dear friend, how are you? I realize that you are in good hands. You're being looked after, and thank you very much for covering very, very well. The distinguished ministers of state here present, the members of the diplomatic corps here present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is with unqualified pleasure and a deep sense of historical purpose that I join you today in beautiful Barbados at this renowned institution, the University of West Indies, Cave Hill campus, my university anyway. To return to the Caribbean, a place so dear to my heart and so inextricably linked to the ties of history to my Asante kingdom. and the African continent is an inspiring moment that stirs the soul. I bring you warm greetings from the government people of Ghana, including your kith and kin in the multi-ethnic Asante Kingdom. I still cherish the memory of receiving an honorary doctorate, a Doctor of Laws LLD degree from this esteemed university some 17 years ago, an honor that deepened the bond between the Golden Stool and the Caribbean people. We have gathered here today for a momentous occasion, the Guba Awards 2025, being held under the inspiring and pregnant theme, Reclaiming Our Atlantic Destiny, Connect, Build, and Renew. This theme is not merely a powerful set of words or slogan, it is a mission, a solemn call to action that resonates deeply with the spirits of our ancestors and the aspirations of our present and future generations. The theme is also an eloquent reflection of the Pan-African vision championed by leaders like Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana, which proudly carries the torch of uniting Africa with its diaspora scattered around the world. Inescapable recognition that the destinies of Africa and the Caribbean are intertwined, sharing an unbreakable link in our DNA. Going down the memory lane, we can readily recall that 400 years ago, history was rewritten through the brutal lens of the transatlantic slave trade, dispersing our people across this vast ocean. For too long, the Atlantic Ocean has been viewed primarily as the root of a painful past, a symbol of separation and sorrow, division and displacement. While we must never forget to overlook the pre- and post-emancipation physical, psychological, and social effects of colonialism, we must today look at the same ocean which carried away our kinsmen and kinswomen as a bridge, a conduit that connects us, the shared waterway of a global African family. Our shared history is a testament to the indomitable African spirit, an enduring legacy that if you kill 1,000, 1,000 will storm back. Our shared heritage binds us in an enduring spirit of resilience and an unyielding quest for dignity and self-determination. Today, we convene at a pivotal moment to begin the process of reconnecting the threads of our shared history. It is time for us to consciously and strategically reclaim our shared destiny, mounting beyond mere sentimentality to pragmatic and tangible cooperation. In our bid to reclaim our Atlantic destiny, the theme gives us three categorical imperatives. We must connect, build, and renew. The first important step of our mission is to connect, to break the divide between Africa and the African diaspora. This means fostering stronger ties, not just at the governmental level, but through academic exchange, cultural immersion, and people-to-people interactions. We must break the silence that has surrounded our shared history and actively strive to build the unbreakable bridge that has been missing for centuries. Acknowledging and confronting our painful past will enable us to overcome the trauma caused by enslavement, colonialism, and its attendant racism. We all recognize that getting to the mother continent from the Caribbean and vice versa can be complicated, with travelers often forced to fly into Europe, while a direct flight can take a shorter time and will be more convenient. No wonder our gracious host, the Honorable Mia Motley, who has rightly and proudly described herself as a daughter of Africa, has called for the construction of air and sea bridges between Africa and the Caribbean. Where there's a will, there's a way. God helps those who help themselves. The import of these two common sayings is that with determination and perseverance, we can overcome what may seem insurmountable challenges. An initiative like the direct flight from Africa and the Caribbean, which is long overdue, can turn geographic proximity into genuine connectivity and promote cultural tourism. And that is why the direct flight from Accra to Bridgetown, organized in connection with Global Awards 2025, deserves our commendation and emulation. We can also focus on education by utilizing our educational institutions to build bridges and educate people about Africa within the Caribbean communities and vice versa. And I think this afternoon I've been introduced to two of them here, bridging the gap there. It is also possible to promote cultural collaboration by facilitating partnerships between cultural figures such as musicians and writers. It should be possible for us to encourage diaspora-led initiatives through supporting community-based knowledge sharing led by the diaspora in areas like health, agriculture, and finance. I commend this university for contributing to driving this process, for recognizing what we must reconnect in Africa, with Africa, the mother continent, not just an intellectual engagement, but as nations and people. If you all favor reconnecting Africa and the Caribbean, then we should have the courage to admit that the construction of the bridge constitutes an unfinished bridge, which we must hurriedly complete to enable us to translate the partnership into reality for the mutual benefit of our people. Let me confess that I keep returning to the Caribbean islands, albeit always in response to invitations extended to me, simply because I see myself as someone on a larger mission, the noble mission of contributing my quota towards fostering, broadening, and cementing the growing relations between Africa and the Caribbean and between Africa and its diaspora. This mission, as we all recognize, is not going to be an event. It may be a long and tortuous process, so let us rekindle the spirit of our forefathers who, in the face of oppression, humiliation, and indignities unparalleled in history, showed resilience, determination, and perseverance to survive and thrive. Viewed from a historical perspective, the underlying current of the theme is not new. We can recall that in reference to the experiences of the slave trade, oppression, and racial discrimination, some famous individuals of African descent, such as Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King Jr., all advocated that Africans and, in extension, all people of African descent need to reconnect and, if possible, join a giant sovereign union of a single socio-political, economic, and cultural identity. They emphasized that the need for African descendants to work together to transform the paradigm of centuries of discrimination and leverage a continental political union in international relations. As if to follow up on this grand vision of African unity, in 2006, the Constitutive Act of the AU was amended to include the African diaspora as the sixth region of the continent, the others being Central, Eastern, Northern, Southern, and Western regions of Africa. The Act defines the African diaspora to include the people of African region living outside the continent, irrespective of their citizenship and nationality, and who are willing to contribute to the development of the continent and the building of the African Union. The article manifests an official recognition of the role of African diaspora irrespective of historical migration as either forced or voluntary, pre-slave trade, slave trade, post-slave trade, and modern migration in advancing the Pan-African philosophy through the development or rebuilding of Africa and African heritage. Already, some Afro-pessimists and cynics have described the AU's sixth region as a coded language for what they call Africans who have migrated and are living outside Africa. We should not allow ourselves to continue to be divided. For me, this is not a mere symbolic designation. It is a living and breathing opportunity for political, economic, and cultural revival. We should leverage the AU designation and initiative to connect Africa and its diaspora, irrespective of where they are, when and how they got to their present location. By our calculation, this will amount to about 350 million people of African descent, which translates into the third biggest population in the world if all the African diaspora could be considered as living in one country. People of African descent, both within and outside the mother continent, do not only share a common history or heritage, but more complexly share a common destiny that transcends historical prejudices and close in the dark history of slavery, colonization, and continuous racial discrimination. We should therefore embrace and promote African Liberation Day, May 25th, in the Caribbean, while Africa celebrates Emancipation Day, 1st August, in Africa. Let your Africanness or African region not be a source of shame, but a badge of pride and honor, which you should always wear and display. In my view, God gives us our brothers and sisters. We choose our own friends. This means you and I have no control over who become our relatives. That is God-given, but we have the latitude to decide who becomes our friends and associates in life. So you and I are still torn together. We can't go anywhere. So we have to make sure that we build together. Because you are my brothers and sisters. Whether you like it or not, that's how it is. It should have long dawned on us that we need effective, pragmatic, and robust cooperation and collaboration to promote sustainable development in our communities, countries, and regions. Explaining the political, social, and economic benefits of closer cooperation are so evident that it always sounds like preaching to the converted. But given the circumstances in which we find ourselves, we are often compelled to do so. I end with a timeless idea encapsulated in the old Latin proverb, dum spiro spero. While I breathe, I hope. And there is hope in our dreams, our imaginations, and our aspirations. Let us have the mental fortitude to stand by the courage of our conviction and translate our noble ideas into reality. Only by so doing can we survive and thrive as a people. The second component of our imperative trinity is that we should build with a renewed sense of purpose. We must focus on building a future of shared opportunity and prosperity. If connecting is the foundation, building is the action. Guided by the wisdom and lessons of history, it is evident that the development of Africa will eventually uplift the image and prospects of the African diaspora and vice versa. In this regard, we can readily recall with nostalgia how the liberation of Africa in the 1960s impacted the civil rights movement of the United States of America. And I dare say, the acceleration of the decolonization process in the Caribbean. We must leverage our collective resources, intellect, and expertise to address the common challenges confronting our societies and regions. In my work back home in the Asante Kingdom, I have consistently emphasized the need for modernization to work hand in hand with tradition to promote education, health, and economic development. The Caribbean, with its relatively high literacy rates, possesses a massive pool of intellect and expertise, and Africa is a continent of immense and flourishing economies. We have a tremendous opportunity to translate our shared cultural identity into tangible economic power. To build now means we can be the actors of our own destiny, and we should have the mental discipline to chart our own course and determine our own future together. The time has come for us to rekindle our efforts to build strong institutions that support our people and resist forces that seek to exploit our resources. We should create new trade corridors that should focus on establishing robust, direct trade links between Africa and the Caribbean by bypassing the traditional trade routes that primarily benefit former colonial powers. Because at this day and age, we still trade with our former colonial powers without trading with Africa and our diaspora. I just want to know how much we sell to Barbados and how much Barbados sells to us. But I have things that Barbados was, but Barbados also has things that Ghana wants. So why can't we do that? We should strive to foster investment and innovation by organizing high-level conferences like this one, the Guba Trade and Investment Conference, bringing together investors, entrepreneurs, and policymakers to explore, identify, and build tangible economic opportunities and jobs. The Trade and Investment Conference held as part of the Guba Awards 2025 attests to our commitment to build resilient health systems, invest in agricultural value chains, develop other creative industries, and create infrastructure transport links between our nations. It is through such concrete collaboration that we will create jobs, drive innovation, and ensure shared prosperity for our generation and generations yet to come. Such initiatives would also boost South-South cooperation, which is mere on paper because we don't do it. Because when the South-South cooperation came, we thought we were going to trade with ourselves, but we still go to our colonial masters. So also boost South-South cooperation, which aims at forging better and stronger cooperation among developing countries, an alternative to dependence and over-reliance on former colonial powers. The goal is to build a new destiny determined by and for the people of the Atlantic diaspora. But to succeed in doing this, we need to free ourselves from mental slavery, an attitude and mindset, yes. An attitude and mindset that we have imposed on ourselves. Mental slavery may be opaque and latent, but it is potent and all-encompassing, always hiding in plain sight in our communities, countries, and regions. It is mental slavery that has conditioned us to accept thoughts from the North as always better and superior, whilst always denigrating our own as inferior. Another plank in the platform for building African-Caribbean relations is the all-important issue of Pan-African unity. This is grounded in Pan-Africanism, echoing the vision of leaders like Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and others for a united and self-determining Africa and its diaspora. Let us use proactive diplomacy to build stronger political, economic, and cultural ties between Africa and the Caribbean. The Africa-CARICOM Summit, a quadrennial bicontinental diplomatic conference, two of which have been held so far in 2021 and 2025. I would suggest you do it either yearly or 2 years, instead of 4 years, because when you, Mr. Prime Minister, when you discuss 4 years, you would have finished. And whatever decisions you took, you would have even lost some of the prime ministers and presidents who were part of that discussion. So that to have held between the leading policies of countries in Africa and member states of CARICOM should and must be used to coordinate our position and present a common front on the international stage in global forums like the UN, the Commonwealth, the Bretton Woods institutions, and the G20. We should use our combined strength and speak with one voice on issues like the reform of Bretton Woods institutions to enable them better serve the needs and interests of small and developing countries. But you know, if we manage our economics well, the diaspora here, we can collaborate with Africa. Africa has all the resources that we don't have to go to the Bretton Woods for the money. We don't have to. If we manage it properly, we can look after ourselves. We have all the resources, we have everything there. And so the students, people who've gone to school, engineers and also are there. So we can plug them from Grenada, from Barbados and everything, give them, charge them with, so the mining engineers, go and dig the mine. The doctors run the hospitals. Let us run it for profit. And then we can do it. But we go to Australia, they take my concession and they go to put it on the stock exchange and take the money and bring back and buy the machines and bring back, telling me it's an investment. But we give them the concessions. Because I'm not in charge of the concessions, the government that is in charge of the concessions. And they take only 10%. I asked the Prime Minister of Norway how they organize their oil, and he said, tell your president to take 70% as a start. I told the then president who was there, I wouldn't mention the name, that look, that is what the Norwegian president has told me. He said, Majesty, you know, we don't have money, so we have to go in small, so let's agree to what they want to give us first. And we've lost it till now. We don't have the money. In the same vein, we should work together on the complex issue of reparations, seeking fair access, development, and compensation for historical injustices, some amounting to crimes against humanity. The transatlantic slave trade was the largest long-distance forced movement of people recorded in history. If truth be told, it was a crime against humanity. We may have forgiven the perpetrators of such heinous crime, but we should compel them through strong international advocacy to atone for their sins. I was not confronted, but I met a Surinamese in Holland, and she wanted to ask questions. I said, let her ask. She said, Majesty, why did you sell it to the people there? Why did you abandon us? I said, my dear, let me be very honest with you. As I speak to you now, we are all now educated and civilized and all those things, but we are still being manipulated by the West. So 400 years ago, if at this stage I'm still being manipulated, my economy and everything is in their hands, what would you have thought about 400 years ago? Where my granduncles were, what? They didn't know anything about anything. So they went there, forcibly bringing Kofi here, Kofi asserting his authority to get back. So I said to she came back, knelt before me and shook my hands and said, Majesty, I thank you. I thank you very much for being very frank and open with me. I said, so it wasn't our fault. They are still controlling your economy wherever, my economy wherever. So we are not in charge of it again still. America, Britain, everywhere, it's happening. We still will be manipulated. They will still come to us to take our resources and take it back there. That is why we have to sit up and then see how best we can manage our own affairs. Finance is the oxygen of development. So as we seek to promote and strengthen better and stronger trade and investment relations, we should look for creative ways to generate the requisite financial resources to buttress our efforts. And that's what I'm saying. It should be pointed out that despite the shared history, current trade between the two regions remains minimal. The share of bilateral exports between Africa and the Caribbean, despite an extensive shared history, has never surpassed 6%, according to the Afreximbank study, leaving much room for growth. Key to this growth is adding value in priority sectors and creative industries. Trade between the regions currently relies heavily on unprocessed commodities, which reflect missed opportunities to industrial collaboration, innovation, and diversification. Access to trade and investment finance is vital for tapping into the major untapped growth potential in trade in value-added goods. Afreximbank has established strong and rapidly evolving relations with CARICOM to boost trade, investment, and financial cooperation between the two regions, operating under the Global Africa vision. As of mid-2025, I'm told the bank has provided more than $2.5 billion in funding across CARICOM, targeting infrastructure, climate adaptation, and SME financing. We are confident that Afreximbank's presence in the region through its Barbados office, established in 2023, is set to significantly boost trade between the two regions. There are promising prospects on the horizon. Africa is now moving into full accelerated implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, arguably the best decision made by African heads of government in 6 decades. This treaty has the power not only to revolutionize African trade and development, but also to equip African countries with stronger negotiating power in multilateral areas, thereby boosting their collective ability to change the terms of global trade. Closer African-Caribbean trade relations could prove to be mutually beneficial. The third and imperative component of our mission is to renew. To renew is to reshape our future, informed by the lessons of the past. We must renew our shared purpose and identity. The challenges of racial inequality, discrimination, and the lingering efforts of our history require a renewed sense of pride and collective action. It is about revitalizing our people in our African heritage, embracing the indomitable spirit that allowed our ancestors not just to survive, but to thrive against all odds. We must use our cultural heritage as a foundation for a stronger future, ensuring that traditional wisdom is integrated into modern governance and national development. The goal must be to forge unity amid our cultural diversities, recognizing the harmony in our shared experience. This renewed spirit will empower us to stand tall and face the future with confidence and integrity. The challenges we face today, from economic development to climate change, require a united front. As an African proverb wisely states, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Our destiny across the Atlantic is not a foregone conclusion. It is about what we choose to make of it. Let us work together to ensure the Atlantic no longer symbolizes a barrier, but rather a vibrant living connection, an unbreakable bridge between our people. By choosing to connect, build, and renew, we can create a powerful global Africa that takes its rightful place on the world stage. Let us see this glorious opportunity to work together, to support each other, and to ensure a prosperous future for all our people. The time for action is now. I will end with mind-bending quotes from two Greek philosophers. The first, from Heraclitus, says, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and it's not the same man." This is the philosophy of constant flux. Once one steps into the river, the water touches, swirls away. As for the man, his awareness, thoughts, and feelings change carefully. Time can't be stopped or returned to. The world is constantly moving, constantly changing. Africa and its diaspora have to move with the times. The second, from Epictetus, says, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." It means as individuals, or in this context, as countries and regions, we are required to intentionally choose goals and values. In short, we should not just drift through life. If we choose a goal or have a vision, then we should follow that vision. In short, we need to pursue vigorously and expeditiously our union of global Africa with one voice on the world stage. May God bless our determined efforts to connect, build, and renew. Thank you very much.
We ebusuafo na sei na adwumadi no esi ekoye ewo Buba Trade and Investment Conference ase bra yira kasaye no nsemo de tu dwabi na ukoye a ukotie no we ya yonkofa ya edaga na ene Caribbean for entem eno na yira koye a wo makodi enkomo ahirimu omukita odi no mayonkofa mu keten ya wo mudi nyina aba ewiye no nti ha na yede mu esi eye nanu apobo no ko ne ho enti de besi bia no so e de bebremo na musumutumi ahwebi aha ADUMASA TV midin e de atesem hene kwaku yakramo.